If you click the far left one, it should pretty much disappear.
Oh, I don't know if I want to totally go away.
Do the middle one then.
We're just gonna keep it on this side. I don't need that side, although it'll disappear, won't it? Oh, no, it won't. All right, can everybody see this?
I can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I should back up just a little. If you remember at our last meeting, we agreed that with the next few meetings, we're just gonna focus on the goals.
Mhm.
And today our plan is to get through goals 1 through 4. I think what we ought to do is just see what's written, and this is everything. Eric, you'll do a better job of explaining this than me, but everything from all the meetings and everybody's comments and ideas on how to reach the goals. We've got the basic idea of what the goal is, how we might measure how well we're doing with that goal, and some action steps and their priority level and who would be the responsible group for ensuring that it happens.
Just to touch on that real quickly, I think in this, you'll see that the importance and entity were really only filled out on like the first goal. And that was just to kind of give an example to everybody as we look at it. I didn't think it was appropriate for me alone to kind of set that. It wasn't something that we had talked about, but I felt that maybe the CIC could help me out with that.
Yeah, and for some of them, there will always be more than one group to help.
Hey, Sarah, can you get rid of the page thumbnails? I can't see the screen, the total screen with all the columns. Yeah, there. That's better. Thank you.
Can you what?
Bigger?
Not bigger, just the thumbnails were there. Well, okay.
Better?
Yeah, that's great. I just have one comment here before we get on to the goals. Eric, did you get my comments? I sent the comments regarding all of the goals previously. So if you have gotten those, I don't need to mention them again, but if you haven't incorporated them or done anything with them, then, you know.
This is, I think you sent them last week, is that right?
Last week or the week after, or week before, I mean. I don't remember exactly, but it was about the goals and I had gone through all of them, but if not, that's fine. You know, this is just accumulating all these things. But on page 96, when you talk about the list of acronyms, I think that we should add the events committee on this list because we do reference the events committee as the responsible parties in a couple of the goals.
Okay.
yeah, that was my comment also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that wasn't meant to be final or whatever, so please, if you have any other ones, let me know and I'll be happy to add them. Joyce, I did get those comments from you, but I haven't incorporated them yet.
Yeah, okay, good. Well then, yeah, we can just talk about them there. Okay, Kim, that was my first one. And regarding the vision on the same page, it talks about, is it realistic? Is it a realistic characterization of the town attainable? And I think that's a wrong word there. I think we want to use attainability or something like that within the planning period. It's not,
Wait.
not a complete word.
Is that comment in yours that you submitted to me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that change here.
Okay. Okay. Those were all the preliminaries.
Wait, was that the vision statement for the whole comp plan or on agriculture? What are you talking about?
On page 96, that's the second page. It's for the whole.
Oh,
It's for the whole.
okay, all right. Yeah.
Am I not on the right page?
I think it's up more kind of describing how it's done, yeah. So,
Oh, that vision. Sorry.
yeah, that
So
was
many
confusing.
visions
but-
here. We got a lot of visions. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, take whatever.
Eric,
Yeah,
on where it says action items are a more specific task recommended to be undertaken to achieve the broader goal. Add the TO,
Yeah.
okay? Okay,
I'm gonna come back down to agriculture now.
okay. I feel that the last sentence should be first. And to add the community, and to add the Canandaigua community values its agricultural heritage and rural character, and will support farming and the protection of valuable irreplaceable soils. And
So you-
then the town will establish a regulatory framework that supports blah, blah, blah. Let's see.
Yeah, I like
Oh.
that change.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Wait, the town, Canandaigua, okay. Okay, so the last sentence again, rural character and supports, take out the will, and supports farming, because will is like in the future, but we already do that.
Oh, and supports farming.
Do you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And supports,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, 'cause
And when you're
supports.
talking about regulatory framework, does that mean like code?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay. All right. And let's see. The town. Okay. I think I have, that's it on that. What is FLREDC?
Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council. It's a,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one that
I
Karen
know now.
Is that the one that Karen belongs to?
Aaron Parker's.
Parker. She
I,
belongs to an economic
You're going?
I
council,
think
but
that-
I don't know which one.
she
Lynn?
usually mentions
You're
one,
leaving? Okay, have a good day.
she usually mentions one, in Ontario County. I don't think it's the
Oh.
Finger Lakes Regional one. The Finger
Okay.
Lakes Regional one is like the New York State one that usually
Oh.
creates those, like when the governor has his like kind of competitions for regional grants.
Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. In the measurables, we are in anywhere, we haven't talked about TDRs at all in this document. And we don't want to forget those. That's been, in the works and in review in the town for what, the last 2 or 3 years. I think it's still a viable program to be involved in. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering, isn't the conservation easement team involved in developing some kind of review for TDRs? Acres per, and so anyway, if we get a TDR program, that would be a measurable.
I think that it's covered in that one, but it, it doesn't necessarily hurt to say in a PDR, TDR, similar conservation.
I think that naming, and especially in your comprehensive plan, every aspect that you intend to get into, that's a big one. That's a really huge one, and it will take a lot of time and effort for us to kind of move that into, acceptance for one thing, and then implementation for another. So I think mentioning that, there's a couple of places where we haven't mentioned TDRs. So somewhere in this document, we should be mentioning TDRs.
Is it not mentioned anywhere?
I don't remember.
I think I would have
Yeah, I
noticed.
wrote it, but I don't. If it is, it's probably within the ag.
Ag or
Section.
open space,
I don't, I
Yeah,
Yeah, I can check.
right up
And-
a little.
yeah.
something for it. So that first item, maybe it's just, maybe we don't specify which program. Acres preserved by a conservation easement or an easement.
Yeah.
Because we don't, I mean, unless we need to list them all the programs.
I don't.
Well,
truthfully,
you should put it in your action steps at least then. You've
I
got,
think
you've
the
got other
manner-
things.
the manner in which you can serve them might be good for the action steps. You know, what you're measuring, which is mostly that it's in a conservation easement.
Yeah. When you look at the second recommendation, then that's probably the appropriate place to place the mention of a TDR program when we get there.
Okay. Can we go back to the
Yeah,
measurables?
sorry.
That's fine. Are there any other measurables there or changes to them?
You can, now might be a good time to remind everybody how you got these.
Yeah, okay. So, when we're looking at the comp plan 10 years from now, we want to be able to evaluate, you know, whether or not our goals have been achieved in a more effective manner than just saying we did our action steps. It's also measuring whether those action steps have been effective. You know, have we traveled down the correct path? How do we evaluate those goals? So that's what these measurables are intended to do. In a similar fashion, when I'm looking at, or when I was preparing the existing conditions for it, I, looked at trends to see how many acres of agricultural land there are vacant. And certainly the ag plan did in 2016, and over time to see those trends. So it's really important for us in creating these plans to know what those trends are, how they've changed, to see how well we've done in accomplishing these goals. So we asked the project team and anybody else who joined us at these meetings, because they were open to the public, to help us identify by what measure we will see if we effectively achieved our goals. And this is kind of what we've come up with. It's in some instances a lot of items, usually things that we can easily track through the county's data or some easy data access.
Yeah, that was gonna be my follow-up question is, do we know we can get the numbers?
Some of them, like when it comes to land cover, that's one of the things with both this and like the open space stuff that we've recommended that, we do like that update to the land cover mapping, because it will help us
Yeah.
accomplish that. As far as, the acres in production, the county does have a lot of that data. The PDR stuff, that's something that we have to track. And then, the number employed, the Bureau of Labor Statistics generally has that. The acre of valuable soils disturbed by development, that would be a new thing that we would track generally in the development office. Potentially through like.
How would you do that? I mean, you could do that through Encore and through the exploratory summary to know if a parcel, the kinds of soils that it has, and that's what the ECB looks at or will be looking at when we move into the NRI, the full program on Encore of the exploratory summary. But how will you, and that's just individual, how will you track that for multiple? How would you do that? I don't know.
Project
Keep
by
a
project, I
running
guess.
list essentially,
Oh.
every
Okay,
month that something comes in that disturbs soils or whatever, then you just track it over time. It's just a data.
okay.
Open would be a subject that part of that information.
They wouldn't, the assessor probably wouldn't get into whether the,
Soils.
Types.
the soil types.
Soil,
They might,
the one from egg to
Yeah,
a
they
housing
would.
development or from egg to
Yeah.
vacant.
Yeah, you could, if it became difficult to get the actual acreage, you could do it that way, parcel by parcel, switching from ag
That
to
would be
residential,
perfect,
ag to residential or ag to any other use.
Yeah.
but one of the things that we're looking for here, of course, if you guys have questions or don't see one of these measurables as being realistic, we can certainly strike it from the document if you don't think that, if we
think this-
cover enough in the other measurables and one doesn't really add value beyond that, we can strike it.
I think that that looking at soils is a very intricate. It's more complicated. I know that when I look at those maps on Encore and it talks about the different kinds of soils. I mean, soils are complex. I wonder if we want to just, talk about acres disturbed by development. Because if you look on the NRI, there's pages and pages of different types of soils that would accommodate farming, but, to various different levels. So I don't know, it's pretty complex.
I would say we probably don't need that one, because one, it is more work and a new process for the development office. And so, truthfully, we always have to be considerate of staff
Yeah.
time to do this stuff. That is a resource that we have. And, when we put it into one thing, we can't put it into something else. Also, what we're concerned with there, the valuable soils being disturbed by development, is also essentially measured in the acres in agricultural production, or the acres of viable agricultural land left vacant. So we really don't need to know whether it's disturbed by development. We're going to see that response in those other acreages being calculated.
Yeah,
Essentially measuring the same thing.
I think that might be a more appropriate measurable anyway. I just don't know how you do that with valuing soils. You're trying to value the soil. That's a tough one for the, maybe the, Ag Committee could track that if you wanted or something, but.
I mean, you wouldn't have to figure out which ones are valuable. You could just use the state's way of doing it. But you're right. When you break it down to like a particular parcel, there's no way. There's not a quick and easy way to say how many acres of this kind of soil was disturbed.
Exactly. I mean, and there's multiple types of soils on, any given property also. So
Well, when you go to try to get an ag assessment, you go to either the soil and conservation with the county, or you go to the USDA, and they map it right out for you, what each parcel of land that you have and what type of soil it is, and how many acres that covers. So we already have some access to that at the present time.
But
Yeah,
like
we have it right now.
And which soils. So, I mean, I agree. It would be kind of a neat statistic, but the time it would take to get an accurate count would probably be too much.
We have all that information now on the exploratory summaries. We have all of that, FDA and all of the county soils they're all on there now because that was part of the NRI. But it's tracking it over time. That is what we're talking about here. And that's the hard task, tracking it over time. And like Eric says, it's going to take some implementation of some new processes. And is the planning office really up to the task, right? With that, I don't, it's time consuming. I don't know how valuable it will be in the long run.
I think it's appropriate to remove it, and we'll move on in the conversation.
Is there any other comments on the other measurables for ag?
So, okay, the measurables. Like Eric said, in 10 years, are we going to compare all of these to the ag plan, all the action steps that have been in the ag plan? Because most of these, I think we already know.
Are you talking about the measurables or action items? Right?
The measurables, like you said, in 10 years or 5 years or whatever, we're going to look at the measurables and see, you know, what has been accomplished. And so these measurables are already in the ag plan. So is that what you're going to compare it to, the ag plan?
Well, you could compare it to that, but then at any point in time, you can get a value of these and compare it year to year, every 5 years.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's good to have the list. I mean, obviously the list doesn't tell us when to take these measurements and how often, but it does.
right,
give us
right.
Something to go back to and say, oh, we should look at what this has done now.
Well,
But you're right, a lot of these numbers are in the ag plan as a good basis, or at least something.
Right.
I think this is more for the CIC to be able to do periodic, you know, as our committees, you know, like say conservation easements, things like that. As it starts to develop its own processes and things like that, we might want to take a break and say, well, where are we with the acres preserved? You got to have some, maybe some of this stuff. I know in other measurables, we talk about baselines, you know, that's one way to track is to get a baseline. And I think we have baselines here for all of these actually. So it's just an intermediate kind of thing that we could use too. To track certain things, just for the CIC to know if they're on the right track and where they're going.
Yeah,
Good idea.
all right.
The action steps.
All right, so now we're looking at the recommended action steps.
And I also want to say here, similar to the measurables, there may be some here, well, we have to be considerate of the time that we have in between this comp plan and when it might be updated, say 5 to 10 years, and the number of action items that we have. We can list 1 million action items to be done, but if, you know, the sheer scale of them all means that they're not going to be done, there's really no use in doing them and kind of diffusing the focus of the most important items to do. So if there are any here that you feel are excessive, unnecessary, let us know and we can remove them so that we have a better focus on the items that are actually necessary, needed, most important to do.
I don't know if removing them though, like maybe if we see some that we know we can't get done in the time between now and when this comp plan's redone, it might not, I don't know if that means we don't want it in there, but maybe it gets put in as a note, you know. I think it's important to mention it if we feel it's important, whether or not we know it's going to get done.
I agree.
But yeah,
I also want to say too, like some of these are contradictory too. These came from, you know, the group meeting with the project team, the public and anybody else who joined us. They are unedited essentially.
Okay.
Everybody who said something, it wasn't as though I argued them on that. I put it on the
Just
board.
put it in.
And
So
so
this is
the
kind of
CIC,
the raw
yeah,
look.
right.
Okay,
The CIC can make a decision on whether or not it should be in there now.
that's true.
I have a kind of unease about what to do with things that would be ongoing. When we look back at some of the goals that the CIC has been, you know, trying to accomplish from the previous comp plan update, you know, we get things now like maintain, you know, our complete streets. Well, we've already established, you know, kind of a process where that's incorporated now into all of the planning board deliberations. Things like for the highway department, you know, make sure our streets are full of, you know, don't have any potholes, whatever, you know, the quality of our streets, the installation quality of our streets. Is that something that we need to take up space with, because we've already implemented that into a process? Once it becomes established, why do we need to keep looking at it? Just this ongoing thing here, I think it's the third one down. Continue to utilize recommendations of the Ag Committee during development and plan review. Well, we've established now protocols for advisory reports and things like this, and we're not going to be implementing that. So why should we be doing these kinds of things as action steps? Action steps are something that we haven't actually accomplished yet, from my point of view.
I think that that's appropriate, especially with regard to the ag committee. I don't think that process is going anywhere.
Is there a place,
I mean, it's,
because this is gonna be true for a lot of these, maybe, is there a place we can still mention it? Because
mean-
it's something we do,
they're in the,
and we didn't always do it before, so it shows that we have,
that's in the body of the document that we've established this and are doing that. So I don't think that it needs to be in the action steps portion of it.
I agree. I mean, if it's something we didn't used to do,
Mhm.
started doing it because of a plan,
Um,
I suppose it doesn't need to be something that's a recommended item that we do because we're already doing it. Yeah, sorry, I'm just talking through this out loud now.
yeah,
Yeah,
But I
and this
didn't
is,
see it disappear, the mention, but if you said it's already in the section on agriculture,
I think it's appropriate, but I also think we might want to take it case by case through these action items.
yeah.
We have the one there, just above it, continue to raise awareness of PDR, find methods to assist farmers.
Let me do that.
Yeah, we kind of do that right now. Do we want to remove that one as well?
no, because that is still, we don't know what, we don't know what the next PDR program session is going to be like. So we'll have to, start anew almost with a new PDR program. So that one seems like we want to keep ahead of or on top of all of the, things that go into selection and things like that. That sounds like an action item, identifying whatever. But, and there may be some new processes that we learn from that, but,
Well, that, you're right, I mean, that one could be that you're looking into it. PDR is just a part of it, but you're right, new
Yes.
programs for, conservation easements may come up.
Well,
I
so,
mean, PDR could disappear, I don't know.
and that's fine, but I guess the point I'm just trying to make there, and I think that you kind of helped me make it, Joyce, is let's take it item by item and not try to say that, everything that's ongoing or whatever is to be removed.
yeah.
So that we don't jump around too much, how many are there on this one? Is it just this page?
Just one page.
Wait, you went,
I know, I'm just looking to see how many we have.
Just page 99, one page.
I can't see this page because I've done that.
Oh,
But, can we just start with the first one and move down? I just don't want to jump around and forget them. Do I need to read it or do you guys just want to take a second?
We're all supposed to have methods already.
yeah.
Let's not belabor this.
Okay.
And the responses are supposed to be sent back in.
Okay, so we remove the one, Joyce, or we will remove that one. Are there other action items? to add?
In the second action step, it's continue to raise awareness of PDRs. This is where I think we need to include TDRs.
Well, we haven't really adopted
There's
TDR.
something in this process, yeah.
That's right. We haven't, but that's what this is. That's what this action step is all about, is to look into that program and to, whether it's the responsible party. I think one of those has to be the conservation easement team, because I believe that their vision and goals are around the TDR program. If I'm right, Tom, that's what's going on with the conservation easement team. That's been
What's
something.
one of them?
It's part
Well,
of it,
it's part of it, but what we're primarily trying to streamline and make more easy to implement is the conservation subdivision process.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's what they're working on right now.
That's
yeah,
really
that's what they're
the-
working on right now, but
the
you,
legal-
yeah.
TDR is on their list though.
This is where I think that if we're going to mention, because we don't mention TDR in any of the action steps that I've read anyway, that this may the appropriate place for that, or either in a conservation easement program.
We can add an action step for it. Let's see why not.
Or just add it into this one, you know, PDRs and TDR program, or make it its own, whatever, but I don't want to lose TDRs. We did so much work on it. We just can't, you know, I think we're all for it. It's just that it takes a lot of time for this implementation because of personnel and time and money and, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Joyce, the PDR certainly benefits the farmer. Does TDR do that?
It can be any
Yes.
valuable.
No, but I
land.
mean, totally just addressing farmers there.
Well,
That's,
it can be ag lands included.
Right, I understand. Yeah. But the PDR affects farmers totally,
Yeah.
and TDR, I don't think affects them totally to the degree it will. You follow where I'm going, Joyce?
yeah, I do. I agree. Maybe we need to mention it to a couple places. I don't know. I'm just throwing out my concerns that we don't want to lose it. So where do we want to capture it?
Well, we'll put it in there. Is there anything else on these action items?
I had only another thing, and it's the local CSA. You said to facilitate a local CSA. CSAs are not one to communities. CSAs are multiple agricultural endeavors. You know, you could have 15 CSAs in a community. So we want to promote and facilitate local CSAs.
Make
or
CSA plural.
Yeah, it's often
Yes,
a farm.
it's plural because, oh my gosh, if we had like 4 or 5 CSAs in our community, that would be like totally good.
Yeah.
So we're not going to, you know, limit it to just one. That's not the way they work, really.
We should not be facilitating it.
Well, that's the other thing, let's speak up, local government get involved.
No, we can support them and we can
Yeah.
put their name out, but that they need to do their own. It's, you know, the farm does their own, or group of farms.
So
does
should-
their own.
Okay, if that's the case, should this even be in there? Should we just say promote? You know, assuming that there is, if nobody does do it, what are we promoting? Who are we promoting? Nobody in that sense.
Well, the ag committee
I thought
does
it
have a list of, you know, farmers markets. If we had a CSA in the town, we put a list on it, or put it on the list, but
Yeah, CSAs aren't usually open to the public. They're private, like, you know, groups, you know, where the members, it's a membership kind of a thing.
yeah,
So,
like buying a membership in a farmer's market at a farm or something, but.
yeah, well, yeah, but yeah,
But the way the town could be supportive would be through promotion like we do with our farms on the ag committee's page and in the newsletter and whatnot. So I mean, there is a role the town can play.
yeah, I think
But
you're
it's
right.
not gonna be a facilitator. It would be more of a promotion. I agree with that word.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. And the only way that we could facilitate it, if perhaps a CSA happens to want to, because, you know, you don't need a whole lot of land for a CSA to be successful. They might be in a zoning district, which is not, I think we've changed that though, a lot of our zoning districts as far as farmland goes. So that would be the only way that we might facilitate it, is to look at a zoning district and make sure a zoning district, let's say on Middle Cheshire Road, wouldn't, you know, hamper or inhibit or limit a CSA.
Why don't you take out that promote and facilitate CSAs, just add it to promote the look down, promote agricultural businesses, comma, CSAs and agritourism within the town.
That's fine.
So, because, do you see?
Yes,
But then you have. the
Because you don't,
farms in there
you
too.
I don't know, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that includes all of them.
Yeah. Good.
What else?
Another one of those ongoing ones, which we do right now, consider agricultural lands and NRI together. I mean, that's our process, you know.
Okay. We can remove that.
Yeah, what was the reasoning behind that one? What did they mean when they mentioned
I
it?
don't know, Joyce, I think that you had mentioned that one at one of the meetings.
I don't remember whether that was so, but maybe that's where my dilemma comes in. We want to do it, but you know, is it really an action step?
Because agricultural lands are considered open space and valuable land to protect already. And I think that we talked about that in the NRI, right, Joyce?
Yeah, right. I mean,
So
that's
that
it's
one's
like a
kind of
given.
done.
It's in the open space manual. It's a given. We reference the ag plan all the time in, you know, frequently in the open space master plan. So it's just a given now in our community. 10 years ago, that wasn't a given. You know, they weren't interacted like
This
they are.
comment might have just come about in some of the earlier meetings.
Yeah.
Now our NRI is almost done. I almost consider this step finished.
Okay,
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
let's get it out of there.
Okay. And then this next one, the agricultural businesses, maybe Eric can consider wordsmithing to include markets and CSAs, or maybe they're just kind of automatically included. We can think about it.
Yep.
I have a question then when it goes to support hemp. Why is hemp mentioned specifically here? Because I think that supporting agricultural production has already been commented on in some of our other action steps. Although I would love to see a hemp thing going here. What was that about? Why that particular, you know, it's kind of like a CSA or some of the, or markets, farm markets or whatever, but why hemp? Remember?
This is one of the
It's
new
a kind
ones,
of a new
maybe.
product.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the big thing.
I think we were talking about, wow, you know, hemp is kind of big, you know, as far as a topic of conversation in our state. And, but I don't know its relevance for a particular action step, because that would mean that the CIC would have to go to that and then do a whole thing on hemp. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was just there to kind of promote a new product and to make sure that,
Yeah.
you know, the
Maybe
town,
we could,
you
maybe we
know,
could put it up there in that one as a, you know, whatever that action step was where we had where we decided to put the CSA notation.
But this is more about
This is a new egg product such as.
encouraging diversity in farming, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, then why don't you just say that? Because you could put in there hops also,
yeah, you
instead
can
of
put a
just
lot of
hemp.
things in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff,
Medical marijuana.
Yeah,
right?
So can we maybe just reword it so that it says something more about not what the product is, but somehow we support, or what would we do?
you know, innovations in ag, you know, production or something, you know, such as hemp, marijuana, blah, blah, whatever you want to say.
Why don't you change the production?
Puppies.
Oh, God.
Gosh. Where are we going with this?
What'd you say?
That's the way to change the production to products.
What about, I like your word, support diversity
Yeah.
in in agricultural productions or new agricultural productions.
And then we can
Yeah.
just take out the reference to a
Yeah.
specific crop.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else on this one? We're only done with goal 1.
I know, and it's time.
Hey.
Gee whiz.
10 more weeks.
Remember, you only meet twice a month.
Let's see how far we can get on this one. I know it's already 10 o'clock. All right, natural environment. The town will protect its natural resources and scenic views which benefit the town and greater Canandaigua area, especially including Canandaigua Lake and its watershed. The town will conserve and maintain the land that provides critical open space and create a network of linkages for wildlife habitat, stormwater management, scenic views, and active recreational trails.
Okay, wait, go back up to that. The town will conserve and maintain the land, or should it be the lands that provide critical open space?
I mean, it can, land can be read.
The way that
plural.
it's used there could be plural, or you could add an S. I don't really think it's substantial, my personal opinion.
The town is not going to conserve, the town is going to encourage conservation and maintenance.
Well, we can conserve if we buy it.
Pardon?
I said we can conserve it if we buy it.
Yeah, but I think that the town doesn't have the funds to buy all the land that we would like to conserve. So maybe Tom has a point there where we should include something to, about educating, the value of conservation easement on private parcels or something like that, because that's a biggie. I mean, that's what.
We could just say the town will encourage conservation of, I don't know, something.
Yeah, okay, that's broad enough.
So it says the same thing, but, or that we are encouraging it, suggesting it, supporting it, rather than trying to do it all ourselves.
Yeah, not only the town, but yeah, that's good.
Okay, second sentence, or no, second line. The town and greater Canandaigua area, I would take especially out. Area, comma, including Canandaigua Lake and its watershed.
And that would be because?
Well, I think they're all important. I mean, especially scenic views, natural resources. This is just another extra word that we don't need.
Are you saying we don't need the Canandaigua Lake? You mean including Canandaigua Lake?
No,
Especially.
no, we don't need the word especially.
Oh, especially. Oh,
Right.
okay. Yeah.
Because they're all important.
Yep. They are.
We move on to the measurables.
Sure.
What?
Just wanted to see if we were ready to move on to the measurables.
Okay.
So same thing, if there's anything to add or remove.
When we get down to carbon footprint, I'm wondering why we use carbon footprint and we haven't mentioned climate change at all in this document, except kind of like, as an afterthought. Are you thinking that
all our energy usage?
carbon footprint and climate change are interchangeable there, or sustainability, or, those kinds of issues? Because we really haven't mentioned hardly anything at all in the narrative of the plan about these issues. And we have mentioned sustainability in the previous comp plan versions, especially in the first one. I'm thinking the update too.
Carbon footprint is not meant interchangeably with climate change or sustainability. Carbon footprint is a more measurable piece or component of those two things, probably. I understand the point that climate change is not included in the document. I think that there is, though, a section that says something like town of Canandaigua residents drive somewhere between 45 and 50 miles a day, or the median resident drives that much or household. It may be that there was initially a reference to it that I edited it out, but if you guys want to add reference to that.
Well, here's the thing about climate change. Climate change is the topic, and natural resource protections are the action steps. That's what climate change is all about. And not about the do we believe it or not, or whatever, the science behind that. But what we do care about in the town of Canandaigua is what we're doing to help our community through natural resource management to eliminate, climate change, impacts. That's really what natural resource management is all about at a different, level. So I think that we can include that as a goal, as a measurable or whatever, because that's what it is. I mean, maybe even a definition of that somewhere in the natural environment
What
goal.
are you measuring there?
What's that?
What are you measuring there?
What are we measuring? Natural resource management. And natural resource management takes into consideration how many more trees have we planted in our community? How have we maintained our stormwater management system? What have we done to maintain our steep slopes and our stormwater runoff? Those are all issues of climate change. And tying those two together makes it even more impactful to a community to understand where we are when we say we're going to, have an impact. Recycling is a climate change impact action step. I don't think our community actually understands the connection between these terms that we use. We look at it elsewhere and we say, oh, well, we got to get rid of our coal, but what are we doing here? And that's why action steps in the community are important. And to understand that the action steps that we take, we need to explain that.
So within the confines of the natural resources goal, I do agree about the, the big picture is hard to measure, but the small things we could measure, like acres of forest, how that changes over the years would be covered by this one.
Yep.
Like the stormwater stuff, I don't know.
We have a separate section for stormwater
Do we?
in the infrastructure portion
I
of it.
just don't know how to measure that, but is that one of the, okay.
Well, Chuck, if you're still with us, I put in a goal as he kind of requested to create a stormwater management master plan, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm here. And thank you very much.
Because Joyce, I hear you. I really do. I just don't know within the context of this single one.
Yeah, but that's
A couple measurables we can add.
I mean, I don't know what a carbon footprint for the town is a very exhaustive, you would probably have to have someone come out and do that for you. That's what most communities do. And they take in consideration carbon footprint of the town is the town operations itself. You're talking about carbon footprint of what? Particularly town buildings or ag land, or it's a carbon footprint is a particular issue of a particular operation in a town. So that's pretty broad. But if it was more, or it's pretty specific, is what I should say, to a broad category of what we do in the town. But climate change it opens it up more to the conversation of what we're actually doing. Carbon footprint, take the highway department.
We're talking about measurables right now. How do you measure?
Yes, that's right. But what a carbon footprint, what are you measuring of the town operations itself, for the town residential, components.
Okay, so you want to add clarity whether or not it's talking about town operations
What would
or,
this be meant?
Yes,
Okay,
if,
town
if that's
card.
what it is, you have to be more specific because carbon footprint is, what is my individual carbon footprint? What is the highway building's carbon footprint? What is the town hall's carbon footprint?
what would you or the CIC suggest it be? Should it just be the town operations or should it be the town at large?
I don't know how to do it for the town at large, but I should point out that as part of a grant with, I think it's NYSERDA, we are working on measuring our energy use over time, starting before we got the new highway building. And then, see how much we've reduced it by. That's just energy usage and it's only town-owned properties, but
When you say
don't
energy,
know.
are you talking about electric and gas for the buildings? Or are you talking about fuel usage for the vehicle fleet?
buildings,
Just
yeah,
the buildings?
not the trucks or anything. But yeah, like energy usage in the buildings, like what we can get from our RG&E bills and stuff like that. So we are gonna be doing that, but that's just one little piece.
So
I
this
don't know, maybe that is that what this one means, is just that, or does it mean town-wide?
I think the goal there, or what we're intending to measure is essentially greenhouse gas usage or production.
Well, then you have to include your vehicles if you're going to do that. I mean, that's what makes up most of our carbon footprint,
We can figure out if it's
the emissions.
Okay, well, let's not belabor this one at all. Is there anything else in the measurables?
I think the big stuff's covered.
Mm, mm.
How do we measure extent?
Yeah, I was just thinking that one too.
And
I mean, it's kind of, it can be visual maps over time.
yeah,
I think that there's probably in like the planning literature, there is like a definition for what sprawl is, whether it's, density of residential within a given area, like what is the residential per land area? And
I think
then,
we have a map already which shows the extent of sprawl from, I think the last 20 or 30 years.
you're talking
and-
about the map that shows when different houses were built?
Yeah, the different houses and and how that's happening and how it has been happening in our town. So,
So there are ways we can measure that.
but,
So,
but
at different levels.
referring to that periodically to see where and updating it, that's the thing. That's the measurable. When we would have to update that map, and I think that's a doable thing.
This is similar, the way you find this one out, sorry. Yeah, I mean, maps and how much of our woods and other open space have been eaten up.
There's that changing the map is pretty easy. It's just a matter of when the house was built.
Yeah.
Okay,
How long is this one? I
this
forget.
one's probably close to 2
2
pages.
pages?
Oh, no, just one.
I want to zoom back out. I forgot how.
Hit Control minus, see what you can
Yeah, but I changed. Oh, sorry, but I changed it to that. reading view.
do. Can you guys still read this?
Yeah.
Okay, just real quick, it's 10 after. Does anyone need to leave? Is everyone okay with going to 10:30 to see if we can get through a little more? I'll take
I'm
the
good.
non-answer as a yes, we can keep going. Okay, thank you. So-
What is the advantage to being a lake-friendly farmer?
It's a program, I think it's, Mary, do you remember?
Well, I know,
State?
I know what the program is, but why is it advantageous?
I actually don't know what they get out of it.
forget them for a second. What does the town get out and the natural resources get out of it?
I guess
Essentially,
it
it's,
depends on what the requirements are to have it.
well, supposedly it would benefit Canandaigua Lake by reducing nutrient runoff into the lake.
I've never read into it. But I
And
do think it means that they have to take certain steps, like don't let the cows in the creek kind of thing.
so how would we assist? What would the role of, say, the CIC be in assist farmers wishing to take advantage? Is there an opportunity for the town to get involved, or because it hasn't been before, or are we just trying to create an opportunity? Or I didn't exactly know. I thought this Lake Friendly Farmer thing was a soil and water district program. Is that right, Gary? Do you know about that?
I'm not sure, no, I'm not,
I think it might.
but I would assume it would probably be under their jurisdiction.
Or is it a Ontario County, in ag enhancement goal? Or I wasn't quite sure where this all started from, and then what our role might be in helping.
I can check that out. I can check that out for the next meeting. I can get in touch with soil and water conservation. They should,
And also, I think the county ag enhancement plan might have something to do with this too.
Maybe our role is providing information.
Joyce, about the, the continuing goals, do you want to remove that first one? Because that's, pretty much one of the main charges of the ECB.
Yeah, it's in our vision statement. Actually, it's in code. So, I mean, we don't have it, that's what we do. Yeah, so whether it's kind of an ongoing thing, and I don't think it's necessary.
It's so broad, you wouldn't be able to say you did it.
Yeah,
You just always
exactly.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so about sustainability and climate change, there is an action item about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think as far as the acquisition, the third one down, the acquisition of town lands, I think a responsible entity, we should include the conservation easement team. They're the ones actually that are just going to be helping us to understand all the acquisition scenarios and, problems or issues or whatever regarding that. The ECB or the open space plan or whatever you want has, kind of indicated where we want to be with natural resource significance, but conservation easement team is, I think, a partial and part of this.
Gary, you'll notice there's the one spot about the wetlands or local ordinance to protect wetlands. I think that was added probably around the initial time that Colin had reached out to us about this whole thing. So anyways, we are at least talking about it right now.
Well, I think his mother mentioned that at the beginning of one of the meetings way back when she was involved in the comp plan.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, Colin came to the NRI meeting to talk about.
Yeah, he's been very, what I want to say, attentive to this issue. And it's a good thing, especially since the FDA now has, at a federal level, has, changed its policies towards wetlands. We really need to take a look at that and see what we need to do to, make sure that our wetlands are protected.
We had him as a guest at the ordinance meeting yesterday, so.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah.
He did a nice presentation there.
Good.
Work with organizations like the DEC, Audubon. What about CLWA and FLI? They're local.
Yep. that's true. I mean, those are the ones that are mentioned in the open space implementation goals. We, do we work with, what do we, who do we work with? And those are some of our main partners, actually.
Yeah, and for invasive species, we've got the Finger Lakes Prism Partnership,
Yeah, that's Finger Lakes Institute, right?
and then the New York State has an invasive species group.
Yeah, and Audubon, yeah, I mean, all of those, the Nature Conservancy. I mean, there's,
We don't need to list them.
there's dozens of them that do very good work, and the ECB draws upon them for all of our, for some of our newsletter articles and other information that we've provided in the past to all our residents. So, yeah, they're all there.
I know it's not a group necessarily, but our Parks Department would be involved with this. Because of what we can do on our own land. It has a lot to do with them.
When we're talking about CLWA, if you go down to investigate the use of fertilizers entering the lake after use on lawns and farms, CLWA is the lawn friendly program that they built with Kevin, of course, with the CLWC. So I think we need to mention, if we're going to be mentioning the lake friendly farmer program, then we should be mentioning the lake, farmer program. Then we got the lake
Friendly lawn care.
friendly lawn program that is really been publicized and marketed from CLWA. I mean, they've really done just a really fantastic job. And we have all of the resources on our ECB webpage. So,
Maybe could just go in the same one.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, because they're the same thing. It's just residents and farmers that get their own program.
So investigate, is that the right word? I mean, we have been investigating, but what are we doing? I mean, as far as those fertilizers entering the lake, what have we done as a town to prohibit that?
that's just it. We don't monitor the lake. CLWA and the Watershed Council monitor.
Right.
Assist in promoting
We
the,
can educate. We can encourage residents to be careful. We could, I guess ours is, we aren't the scientists, so we're not going to be doing measurements.
no, we're not going to be doing the investigation. We're going to be doing the promoting and, education.
But we can support those organizations somehow, I'm sure.
Oh, we do all the time, because what we do
Yeah.
is when CLWA sends us an announcement of their bird thing that's next week, we put it on our website. We're constantly taking their information, and they take our information too, if we're having programming or something like that, and they advertise and, for us. So it's been a very mutual thing, actually, except this last year. We have nothing to provide.
So if we put the lake friendly lawn care up there with the lake friendly farming, does that mean we take this item out?
I would say so.
Yeah.
The town will do this.
Because it's not really something that we're going to actually do. We're not going to do the investment. We're going to support those programs from those other partners that we have.
And can we remove the continue partnering with the land trust? I think that's something that town's gonna do. It's not like they're.
It kind of goes with the other land protection items, although that was back in the ag one.
I don't think that the town is looking to end that partnership.
No.
So. I think that's it.
I have a question. No, scroll down. Oh, up, sorry. Okay, okay, here it says, continue implementation of 2018 Open Space Master Plan. I did not see in the recommended action steps anything about the ag plan, continue implementation.
In the agriculture one, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Did,
And we also are going to have with the NRI, there are some implementation suggestions in there. So if we're going to do, you might as well do all three of them because we haven't decided yet with the NRI who's actually responsible for these implementation suggestions. A lot of it has to do with mapping and some other issues.
okay, and so I noticed that some of the recommended action steps, they mention the growth nodes. Can you scroll down now? Identify, okay, so stop. Relieve development pressure on NRI lands by promoting growth within identified nodes. Could we maybe put like a page number where these identified nodes are identified in the whole document?
Sure.
Because, if you're reading these action steps, you may not read the whole the comp plan, but it would be interesting to read about these identified nodes. So like put a page number there.
Is this also, this just makes me think of our Economic Development Committee and form-based code and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Would that be appropriate to add them to the list of who's responsible? I know they don't.
Probably.
I mean, they're just helping the process get through, but
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Eric,
They're not going to get to make a decision, I know, but they might make recommendations.
Eric, do we have a map of these identified nodes?
I mean, it's probably going to be referenced to essentially the
The
zoning
MUO.
map, the three
Kind of.
MUO
It's
areas.
like a zoning map, okay. Just wondering if maybe somebody was putting together a particular.
I actually thought it was.
This is a good place.
Um, that's pretty much what it's going to be, the MUO areas. And then I know that,
And uptown. I mean, the
Yeah.
parts that don't necessarily
That's pretty much it.
technically fit in the MUO.
maybe Cheshire, but
Well, it's not only the uptown, but it's on towards the East Lake Road.
Yeah,
1, 2, and 3.
okay. That's no problem.
okay, on the next one, work with the CLWC to implement their Canandaigua Lake Watershed Master Plan. Okay, and the responsible entity is CLWC. So where
What are we doing?
does the CIC fit in, or and anybody from the town fit in?
Do you see
You
an
know
area for the town to fit in? The responsible entity is not complete, I just kind of threw it together.
Yeah, well, who is the CIC going to be responsible for the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Master Plan implementation goals?
There are, in the watershed master plan, they have their own, goal and action item section. And in
Yep.
there, it says who's the responsible entity. And in some instances, there is references to the various, local boards, municipalities, whatever. So at least they foresee some opportunity for the local government to be involved. I don't know what level here it would be at, whether it's the ECB, the town board, or the CIC.
Yeah, I think we need to identify who the responsible entities will be. Maybe we need to talk with somebody, maybe we need to talk to Doug about who he thinks the responsible party would be, so we could include that. We've never really seen an entry like this before. Watershed master plan is certainly an important part of what we do, but we used to have that committee, Eric, that from the Watershed Council. I don't know if we do anymore. I think Kathy is the representative to that council now. So I don't know, I'm kind of a little cloudy on how we would do that and who would. And So maybe that needs some more investigation.
The next one, identify methods to increase low impact enjoyment. I don't know if methods is the right word. I would think of access
Or opportunities.
or opportunities or access or something, but instead of methods.
Okay.
Identify opportunities. Okay. So we got through 2.
Yay.
I can't stay past 10:30.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to stop here. I'm sorry that it took us so long to get started today. But, so coming back to, if I can do this without going past it. Oops, I did. For our next meeting,
Let's try to do 4 again. I think that cultural and historic resources is generally a smaller section, same with
Yeah. I
tourism.
think so.
Parks and Rec is not huge. The economic development one is relatively large, but
Yeah, I think we can do these next time. And I guess just in case, it takes a long time again, maybe if we can just make some notes ahead of time. I mean, I know,
and Joyce, for you, since I have your comments, you and everybody else, I'll try to incorporate those comments in where applicable before our next meeting, if I can find the time to do that, and then hopefully.
I know you're probably very, very busy. So thank you for all that you're doing, Eric.
No problem.
all right, we will get through these. I promise. All right, well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the
So
comments.
Sarah,
Yes,
Sarah, so are the ID and password, are they all the same for next meeting?
no, there's gonna be 2
Oh.
here on out. So for the first Tuesday of every month, you'll have one link with the ID and password. And the third Tuesday of every month, you'll have a different one.
Oh, God.
I'll send it out.
Well,
Yes, thank you
we're
very
gonna
much.
add it to the town's website, right? Like for the CIC page, it'll
I
say.
don't know. I'll send it out every time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try and put it on the website, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff on the website we have to work on. All right.
Just one,
Okay.
yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're
Go
welcome.
vote.
Thanks, Chuck. How do I get out of here?
Yeah.